Now that I've ceased being unprofessional, this is my lightning talk. Okay. So for my lightning talk, entitled Will It Blend? I'm actually going to talk about something a little different than what the other talks have been about this morning. So my job has changed over the last year and a half or so, and I get to spend more time doing a different type of visualization now. And that has brought me to a piece of software called Blender. Has anyone ever used Blender before? Did anybody see is it a French movie, Cat, that won an Oscar this year? Yes, it was called Flow, I believe. Did you see Flow? What? Was it not French? It's what? I think it's Estonian. Oh, it's Estonian. Oh my goodness. Same thing. It's not me. Anyhow, it won an Oscar and it was done soup to nuts in Blender. Even the compositing, all that stuff. I've had an opportunity to use Blender now after first trying it about 12 years ago, 13 years ago, something like that. And I want to show very briefly a little bit about how surprisingly and unexpectedly easy it is to get data in. And this is just the lightning talk portion of what I'm going to do. So if you want to try it out, you can go to blender.org and download it. It's totally free. They make a big deal out of it. It's not just it's not just open source. There's also copy left. So it's like GPL3 and all that. You can also get it on Steam, which is how I do it, because Steam will manage like nightly updates and whatnot. And it's fun to use some of the nightly update stuff. But back in the day when I tried it before, it was really early in the Python 3 development lifecycle, but Blender had moved to Python 3. Now we all use Python 3, and Blender does a really good job of keeping up to date with Python. Additionally, a second thing happened in between then and now, besides me getting older, which is that the Python packaging ecosystem is so much nicer now. Even the vanilla Python packaging ecosystem, what comes with, is awfully nice. So if you want to follow along, or if you want to try this at home, I recommend doing this. For me, because I use Steam, it's inside tilde.steam Debian installation, because, you know, what's a Linux machine without 9 different package managers? Steam apps, common Blender, and I'm using 5, so 5 Python bin Python. And you can run -m pip install. You can install YT, H5Py, pandas, and pooch. Okay? And I did that earlier today just to get a fresh one. You can also just run the Python 3.11. So this is all right, that will be fixed, don't worry. This is the version that comes with Blender, okay? And it will happily install from Wheels, YT, H5Py, pandas, pooch, all that stuff. Okay, it might upgrade NumPy for you, but Blender now comes with NumPy. And you can install an extension that's in their library called CSV importer, or you can pip install data BPy. Data BPY. So BPY is the Blender built-in module. Data BPY is a nice little interface for NumPy that goes through Blender. And then you can get going. So if you start up Blender, it looks like this. It's really difficult to get the fonts to be bigger. I think there's a way, but as it stands, they're, you know, written on a grain of rice here. So we start out with our humble companion cube, right? I'm going to delete the companion cube later. And you can go over and you can write scripts. Now, typically, I write my scripts in VS Code so that I can see them. But you can write them right here. I'm going to say new, and let's see if I can, maybe I can make this bigger. Yeah. Check that out. And I'm going to go ahead and import YT. I'm going to import data BPY. I'm going to say ds equals yt.load sample. Anyone? Isolated galaxy. Okay. We can run this now. It'll output some stuff. It's a little bit annoying to get the output if you run your script here. So I tend to do it over here. But if it fails, it will definitely let you know. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say my grids are going to be a new object called Bob. Get what Bob stands for, Blender object maybe. And I'm going to set them at the center of every single grid. I'll say grid centers equals ds.index.grid left edge plus parenthesis dx.index.grid right edge divided by 2. Zoom out a little bit so that that'll all fit on the same screen. And so those are my grid centers. I'm going to create a Bob from those vertexes. Okay. Let me give it a name here. Actually, no, I'm not going to give it a name. So now I have this new object. I go over here to my layout. See, yeah, that's where all the grid centers are. So Blender's really neat because it allows you also to have, and I'll show this, we've got positions for all our objects, but we can also add on additional attributes. So if we do grids store named attribute, let's say we want a width for our grid. We first supply the name or the values. So grid right edge minus grid left edge. Now let's give it a name. We run this. It's going to create another new object. I'm going to unceremoniously delete my first one. So now I've got a position and a width for every single one of these. So what do we do with that? We can construct pretty straightforwardly, and I'm going to go through this fast because it's supposed to be a lightning talk. We can go in and do all these different geometric modifications to it. I'm going to start by saying instance on points. It's going to take every single one of my points. It's going to create a set of instances. And then for every single point, I am going to instance a mesh cube. So now it's making lots and lots of mesh cubes, all gigantic. Fortunately, we have the ability to specify their size. Now, you can read a named attribute. It'll be a vector. It tells me that it's a width. I toss it into size. Oh, right. Toss it into scale. Now, if we look at this in wireframe, you see we've got our entire grid data set replicated here. So I'm not going to belabor this too much because this is pretty basic. But I want to show one last thing. If I go here and I do a new one, I do a new. There we go. If I do import YT, ds equals yt.load sample, and if I do import data bpy, isolated galaxy, I say particles equals ds.r particle positions, ds.r particle position. Then I say particle masses equals ds.r particle mass. I can do data b pi, create Bob, my particle positions. And I can say particles store named attribute, particle masses, mass. Let me look at this before I type anything so that I know that I don't think I'm messing anything up. Now it goes out, it reads them all. I don't know why it's taking so long. It really is taking a long time, isn't it? You can hear my thing go. Yeah, okay. Here we go. Now let's go back to geometry nodes. There are all my particles. So if I go here and I look at this, all of a sudden I've got, oh, because it set the mass to inf, because the mass was probably in grams. Anyway, yeah, it gets a little confused at times. See, look at that. That's, oh boy. Okay, so we can ignore that. But now we have a point data set, and you can do a fair bit of cool stuff with this. I was surprised. Like, this is me sharing with you how surprised I was at the ease with which you could build out pretty cool stuff here. And I know that not everybody wants to use Blender and whatnot, but it's a reasonably fun way to do some visualization, and being able to get the data in so straightforwardly is a big deal, I always thought. So I'm going to save this and I'll include it later. Okay. I've got the code that I use, some of the code that I used right here. I also said that I was supposed to talk about seismology data. This is an old visualization. It was made with YT, but I wanted to show it because it uses a bunch of the things that Chris discussed yesterday. It uses not a fisheye lens for the volume rendering, but it uses a cylindrical equal, no, it's not equal area, but a cylindrical 360 or 4 pi really lens for it. And it's rendering some seismology data. So there was an earthquake up here, or I guess the earthquake was at the end. I thought this earthquake was, oh yeah, it's Tohoku. So this was the Tohoku earthquake.
And you're sitting inside looking.
And you're sitting inside the earth looking out. And you can with special metadata, you can actually upload to YouTube pannable 360 videos. They don't make a big deal out of it anymore because it's because they've moved away from their VR initiatives, but you can still do that. Okay. That's the end of this.